Anarchists are calling for revolts right here in the good old USA, and the Chinese Communist Party is paying for part of it. Oh my gosh, guys, you won't believe what they're planning. They are trying to whip this new king's protest riots into a much bigger level of frenzy than we saw last time. In fact, they are calling for all the people that participated in the 2020 BLM peaceful protests, where entire cities were being burnt. Oh, yeah. And the people that were involved in the attacks on Tesla dealerships and things like that to get involved because they're saying they're madder than they've ever been. And they're really trying to get this up. Now, it's talking like there's 2,000 events planned across the United States, and there's some in other countries too, including like Mexico City. And, and they're saying there's going to be like they believe 18 million participants. Wow. Guys, I'll be showing you stuff. I'll be showing you areas to avoid and how to find these. And I'll be showing you how the media is complicit in whipping up this frenzy, controlling the narrative, and yeah, who else behind this stuff? Guys, you're just not going to believe this stuff. Just hang on to your seats. This is mainly a clarion call for you guys to watch out this weekend. Don't be going into big cities for one. I mean, if anything, stay out of the big cities. Stay out of any city. I mean, even small towns got some of this stuff planned. I don't think it'll get as angst in the smaller towns, but you never know. The blue cities, yeah, watch out. All right, guys, I'm going to share some of these articles because it's just off the charts, the kind of stuff they're talking about. Give me a second here. Yeah. Here we go. So I kid you not, anarchist groups call for 2020 style revolt. And just to kind of point this out, what they're trying to do is get uprisings, anti-authoritarian, as they call it, uprisings to the similar to the Black Lives Matter riots. Here they're calling them riots and revolts now, which back in the day, oh no, it was a peaceful protest. But now they themselves, from their side, call them riots and revolts. Just what we knew all along, right? None of the media would go along with that. So, this is what you guys can expect, my friends. It can get ugly. There were a lot of people that wound up pushing daisies, up to 24 of them, due to the events in 2020. It's a lot more than the so-called insurrection that happened on January 6th. So, but guys, the news media really controls this narrative. Here it is. This is what you need to see, know, and understand. We must contribute to a ferment that brings together everyone from the fiercest participants in the George Floyd revolt. They're using that word now? Wow. To the retirees and that protested Tesla outlets last spring. Guys, and I want to show you there is organization and paid actors in this stuff. Wow, guys. And who's paying for a good piece of this? Yikes. Let's go on. And I agree. It's going to be a clown show more than anything else. But it can be a bad one. It can be a bad one. So it's got to do with, I'm not going to read this stuff. A clown show. Here it is. New Kings. These are the locations that got this mess planned in. No Kings, excuse me, not New Kings. Maybe it is New Kings. Anyway, you can go in here and blow this map up. Now look, it's mostly in your more populated areas. And I expect as you start singling in, you can start finding things. Like you can put in your zip code and find something close to you. That's the way to do it. Now, typically, for some of these, they ain't going to tell you exactly where it is unless you got to sign up and join. Why? Because they don't want counter protesters. So they don't come right out and tell you unless you sign up and join. And if you join and you show up for a counter protest, they'll probably dox you. I don't know. Maybe not, because that's a lot of data for them to keep up with. But anyway, Even Amarillo, Texas got one. Holy smoke. Yeah, just put in your address, zip code, and you'll find whatever's closest to you. But the main reason to do this is to stay the heck out of Dodge. That is my advice, to just give you an idea of where you don't want to be. Anyway, what I said, they said their anger level is way higher now. And it's got to do with the fact that the ICE is going in and deporting uh, illegal immigrants, primarily gang members. Right now, they're going after gang members. But they love their gang members. You can't take our gang members away from us. They're cornerstones of our pillars of our community. Uh, guys, this is kind of sick. Uh, I am going to tell you my thoughts at the end. So let's just go through the articles here real quick, and I'll give you some commentary at the end here to kind of close this story out. So that you need to know to watch out. So again, the Communist Party is among the many Socialist and Democrat Party allied groups supporting the Snow Kings protest. Oh yeah, Communist Party, Socialist groups, and some of this funding. It's got international origins. And some of it through NGOs. Of course, now the cash pipeline of that has been cut off, but maybe they still got something in the reserves. Came out of your pocket, taxpayer pocket. Remember how those NGOs were paid by taxes before the DOGE took an axe to it? Well, they probably still got something in their coffers. I don't know, guys, from those days. But so this just gives you, Communist Party USA. See, they're a piece of this, guys. Democratic Socialist of America. Oh, yeah. ACLU of New York. Let's see. Yeah, it goes on and on. These are the groups that are sponsoring this. Socialist Party, Freedom Socialist Party. There's no freedom in socialism, guys. I've been trying to explain that to y'all. Anyway, let's go on. Look who else. And here's one of the things. The news media papers over this stuff. Just like they papered over the thug, that they call the Maryland man. More on that later. But what you find is that they all have the same talking points. And you've seen this a million times, how they all say the same thing from one to another to another. Exactly the same verbatim, blah, blah, blah. And so that's what they do with this. And a lot of this comes from Media Matters. And as you can see, Media Matters is supposed to be, about equalizing the media, but you can tell they've got a certain strong slant in a particular direction. Nah, yeah. They only support left and attack the right. That is their whole, everything they're about. That is everything they're about. Supporting the left and attacking the right. So let's go on and we'll look at some of this stuff. Media's Matter is a progressive nonprofit organization founded in 2004. It's a watchdog focused on identifying and countering what it describes as conservative misinformation. Basically, anything that's conservative, they will label as misinformation and attack. This goes into some of the history and funding. A lot of different groups are behind funding this, including oh, look, yeah, this was founded by John Podesta, Bill Clinton's former staff. Wow. We've heard a few things about Podesta. Yeah. Quite a few things. So you can just go on and on in here as to the groups that's been involved in this stuff. John Podesta. Linked to Slick Willie and his wife, Hillary. But now, we're told that Antifa's not organized. They don't have any organization. See, they're being called to participate in this No Kings riots too, Antifa. But they're not organized. And then how come they got chapters? Aren't chapters organized? And they've been coordinated, although it says loose coordination. Just how loose is it? Coordinated through the Torch Antifa network. Well, network. A network. Doesn't a network invoke organization? Oh, yeah, this network was formed when? In 2013. Interesting. So, let's see. What do they support? Protest, doxing. mutual aid amongst their own groups. How they do that with money. So there we are, my friends. It seems that they're a little bit more. So here's the Portland chapter called Rose Antifa RCA, and they were founded. This is their own website. They claim they were founded in October of 2007. They were founded. Now, how is it you were founded if you're not an organization? Yeah, they got websites. All right, so and are coordinated by this Torch network, among other things, I suppose. So, and who funds this stuff? The beginning and the end, Chaos 2 is this article. Government Accountability Institute has mapped how non-governmental funding networks intersect with the protests and activist movements across the USA. The chaos and unrest spreading across this country, especially ongoing anti-ICE. Yeah, it's been funded. So let's look at this. Ding, 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 ding. All right, let's see if we can get the next picture up. That's what I really want. And see, they're funding any kind of protest. Just, they don't care what it is as long as it's a protest. As long as it's some anti-American, I suppose. And you can see substantial amounts of money goes into this stuff. You can see tens of millions of dollars. Domestic extremists and or civil unrest advocates. And so some of the funding's coming from Buffett, the Ford Foundation. I don't know what Arabella is. It may be Arab related. Rockefeller Foundation puts a lot of money in it. And here's a Singham. No, Singham's put a lot more money in this. We'll see in a little bit. Probably more than most of these others on these lines. But he does it through different avenues. George Soros, and again, a lot of the Soros money has come through NGOs, not out of his own rich pockets. The Tides Foundation, how many times have you heard about that group? So what you find is they pretty much support any, all kind of unrest, pro-Hamas, radical Islam, or whatever. You find the same groups pretty much in both lists putting money in. And you'll see that they're putting different amounts into the different things. So let's go forward. Now, Singham is not noted down here on this bottom one, but you'll find them noted for that elsewhere. So this is not comprehensive by any stretch of the imagination. Because here is another one where Singham himself, billionaire Marxist Neville Roy Singham, who's actually an American so-called entrepreneur living in China. He's a CCP advocate. And for one, he's got one guy on payroll here who's he's an advocate for all this mess, David Chung, paid agitator, earning $75,000 a year as a paid agitator. Now, I said he's from China, but he'll go ahead and support things like David Chung. Sounds like an Arabic name, right? Allah's the only God. Okay. Singham put $20 million, $20 million plus through the People's NGO, People's Forum NGO, via shady donor advised funds. And so what we're talking about, now see, this is starting to add up. Now, this doesn't exactly map what's going where and how, but $275 million to pro-China and nonprofit media to influence us here in the United States. $65 million to CCP leaning groups. Yeah, giving back to them. So yeah. So there's a lot of things here. Yeah, and go and investigate this stuff for yourself. But this is from GWEDU, which is an educational organization that's put forth this report here on funding for the pro-Palestinian contest. And even though that other chart didn't note it, it's noted here. The letter implicated Neville Roy Singham, a U.S. citizen residing in Shanghai with ties to CCP as a central figure in covert funding network supporting extremist organizations in the U.S. According to the senators, these groups have escalated their activities following the Hamas October 7, 2023 terrorist attack on Israel, disrupting the Senate procedures and participating in violent anti-Semitic demonstrations across multiple U.S. cities. And so they say he's a key piece. And that other article I just showed claims the same. So that first report was missing this piece of the puzzle. That's why I'll bring it up. It's there and more. All right. So, but he's not just going after the United States. Somebody go, oh, Greg, your stuff's just, United States. No, he's also promoting China's propaganda in India. So this is international. He's promoting Chinese propaganda around the world. He's definitely a shield for the CCP. And there he is, Neville Roy Singham. Yeah, he went to Howard University, 71 years old. So, he's a former chairman of ThoughtWorks, IT consultant. And he's an active propaganda apparatus of the Chinese Communist Party. Bing. Even in Wikipedia. Wow. Even in Wikipedia. He's a socialist, an admirer of Maoism, according to the New York Times, which is on the left side of the spectrum. Even the left call him what he is. Pro-Chinese government propaganda. Story's mine. So, guys, when the left, points after their own backers, that's pretty interesting. Anyway, that's pretty interesting. So, there you go. Yeah, he's tied the highway. Look at that. He was a technical strategic consultant for Huawei. Yeah. So he made a lot of his money supporting, he's a billionaire. Made his money supporting CCP stuff. Wow. CCP influence and pro-Palestinian activism. See, the CCP is out to take America down. Anything that agitates in this country, they're for. Anything. So, and this is more on that funding, the networks of it. They're just out trying to make trouble. That's the cover of the report I just showed you, basically. So let's show you some more. And, guys, if you don't think they got sympathizers, how about in this country? Like on the CCP side, what about this Chinese Communist Party flag that was flying over the Philadelphia City Hall? Yeah. Or the royal treatment with Chinese flags all over the streets when Xi Jinping went to San Francisco. Back toward the tail end of President Taterhead's administration, welcomed in and gave him the red carpet by who else? Newsom, Gavin Newsom. Yeah, there's your flags everywhere. Up and down the street, see here? That's a video. But so, these protesters, anything they can protest. Free, like this guy, this is a funny cartoon. Let's see if I can blow it up. Free Palestine. And Trump says, you're welcome. And the guy's, dang. Now what are we going to protest? Well, we'll just protest you. We'll have a no king's riot. I don't know. But, these guys, like, look here, here's your Antifa mugshots. Have y'all seen these guys? Sure you have. Ain't they pretty? When they take their mask off and take a mugshot, no wonder they want to wear a mask. Yikes. Not exactly your top shelf winners in society. Some of these guys look like they're highly disturbed. Highly disturbed. You think they're disturbed? Well, let's see. There's an article on that down here somewhere. Let's see. No wonder they wear face masks, right? Let's see. Where is it? Yeah. But anyway, there's an article that claims, let's see. I don't see it yet. They're all saying the same thing here. But one of them really comes out and really points it out. It's like the left is, let's see, really picking on these people, some of the weaker minds in society, to be their foot soldiers. That's what it was being said in there somewhere. I won't say it right off. Whoops. But anyway, I won't dig any further. I'm wasting too much time on that. So, and again, hey, this ain't the end of it, not just Saturday. They're planning to make this stuff regular. Look, we're just A month away, they're planning another event, October the 21st, on a Tuesday, not a weekend. Mass call. Mass call. So, guys, they're really serious. They're planning all kinds of mayhem. The more mayhem, the better in their estimation, their view of things. So, what you need to know is to stay clear of this stuff. That's the main thing. It's not worth it. They'll go out there and they'll moan and cry and pull their hair and jump up and down. It's a clown show. Why participate in it? Why mess with it? It's just a clown show. But if they start burning down places, yeah, in some places they may well do that. I don't know if it'll happen this time, maybe in October, maybe later. I don't know. But, you know, this could be very dangerous. A lot of people lost their having their souls contained within their bodies. Let's put it that way. I'm careful what I say on here. Back in 2020, although that's been ignored by the lamestream media, but there's sources that are claiming that. Um, we've seen a lot of people get beat. People get their livelihood destroyed when their little mom and pop shops are burnt. And, we're talking about people. That's their livelihood. That's how they earn a living. And some of them may have had insurance. A lot of the insurance, because the devastation was so broad, they didn't pay out enough to help these people get back up to where they were at in a lot of these cases. This stuff is destructive. They attack their own even. Like when they went after Teslas. Who bought Teslas? The people they told to buy Teslas, the people they told, oh, we got to go green. Yeah, the people that bought into their message is the ones they attacked. And, there's something missing. There's just something missing in this whole thing. But here's the bottom line. This is agitation that is being paid for with those who want to end our way of life, our way of governance, who want to change this country into something it isn't. Is that not a insurrection? You tell me. But what they want to do is take what the people voted for in this country and bury it. We voted to end the immigration stuff. And they are, they on those media and their talking points, they only play up what they want to play up. Like they're saying, oh, look, Americans are getting arrested and detained. Well, maybe in some cases where they go into a facility where there's a bunch of, like in Chicago, where there's a bunch of drug gang members of cartels, they may need to detain some people just for their own safety to get them out of the way. Because when you're arresting cartel members, things can go really bad, really fast, bang, bang. You know what I mean? And sometimes people are just protesting them or maybe getting in the way. And I have no evidence that they have actually arrested American citizens. This guy from, the claim was the Maryland man. What a farce to claim that. Oh, he was oh, they also call him the Maryland dad. They didn't mention in that he had a restraining order against him to see his girlfriend and kid because he had been pummeling on them. So there's just a lot that's missing. They tell the stories the way they want to, and they're agitating the public and stirring them up so that they will participate in things like this. So don't buy the agitation, and it's best just to stay away if you all can. If they bring this stuff to you, wow. But stay away from the cities. The cities, especially in the blue states, the blue cities, maybe even the states that aren't blue, may be at risk. Because if they do, we know they have the capacity. We've seen it in 2020. We've seen it with the Tesla dealerships. We know they have the capacity for major mayhem. And at some point, they may be turning that on, but they're actually calling for that now. That's why you got to be wary. That's why you got to be wide open here with your eyes wide open, head on a swivel. I always tell you to be that way, because you never know where this is going to come from. This is not a pretty picture by any stretch. It is trying to evoke a civil war here in this country, and that's the way it looks to me. And some of it is being paid for straight out of Beijing. And Xi Jinping is laughing and chuckling at this whole mess, all this division here, and it's worse. I'm going to cover on my maybe a live session tonight on Green Rigs that this is what they're doing is actually worse than this in a whole different way. That's a whole different topic. But my friends, the bottom line is that we've got some rough roads ahead of us. So we need, oh yeah, this whole National Guard thing. Look, they called in the National Guard because the ICE agents were being attacked and being inhibited from doing their job, just to clear the way so they could do their job. That's all the National Guard was there for, to allow the ICE agents to do what the American public voted for Trump to accomplish. When you agree with it or not, these protests they're off the charts, especially if they start burning cities. Yeah, oh yeah, just look at the other things. If you don't think they're capable of it, look at all the people that chortled and laughed and snickered or made excuses for Charlie Kirk's situation. That's just blood curdling. If you think, if you don't think that there's a huge level of high hatred on one side, and if they're not going to act out on it, you're not paying attention. The question is when and how much. How far will it go this time? Maybe Trump won't allow what happened in 2020 to happen this year, 2025. But I don't know because he's already been called to task on it. But yeah, this could be the beginnings of a civil war. That's what I worry about. A civil war is the ugliest thing you can imagine. Anyway, my friends, bang the bell, subscribe, and click all. Keep your eyes wide open and head on a swivel. And with that, I'm going to say, Greg out.